Okay, welcome to the Omaha Municipal Land Bank's webinar, where we will discuss the request for qualifications for construction contractors for our shovel-ready project. If you have any questions during this presentation, please feel free to put them in the chat, or we'll have live question and answer time at the end of the session. Today, we'll provide a brief overview about the Omaha Land Bank, discuss the work to be done, and finally explain the contents of our request for qualifications in detail. To start, if you're not familiar with land banks, we're a nonprofit entity that was formed by the city of Omaha to help put vacant and abandoned properties back into productive use. Land banks exist across the country, and ours in Omaha was started 10 years ago and has an inventory of about 300 properties. The properties that the land bank owns are all properties that have been vacant for a long time and have significant challenges to redevelopment. We try to look for responsible buyers and, in the meantime, be good neighbors by keeping properties well maintained. The land bank can't do this work alone, which is why a key part of our mission is to empower others to help transform these properties. Local contractors like you are key partners in making this mission possible. In addition to real estate work, the land bank has a lot of support services and ways to get involved, including hosting educational events and our ambassador program, where local leaders meet once a month to learn about the work we and our partners do and how to get involved. Today, our primary focus is on the shovel-ready effort. This project started in 2023 and is designed to remove barriers to development on some of our hardest to develop properties. We have several properties where heavy vegetation, slope of the lot, and debris pose barriers to redevelopment. The land bank has been leading an effort to remove those challenges to create clean sites ready to develop, which is where we are requesting local construction, landscaping, and tree service businesses. The best way to explain is to show you some examples of the work that has been done so far. This property is located at North 38th Street. As you can see in the before photo, heavy vegetation was made redevelopment difficult. In addition, what you can't see is a lot of buried debris, which all needed to be removed before redevelopment could be possible. This lot was one of the most complicated lots of the past 2 rounds of work, so it's not likely that every lot will be as extensive, but I wanted to show this as an example because it pretty much covers all of the type of work that might need to be done in this next round of properties. As you can see from the summary on this slide, there's a variety of work to be done that includes tree services, erosion control, excavation, grading, debris removal, and seeding. Ultimately, what you see here is what we want from all these properties, which is a clean and clear site ready for development. All of the sites in this next phase of work will have, all the sites in this next phase of work will already have engineering and site design blueprints to be followed. If you're selected for the project, you would work closely with our engineer, Earhart Griffin and Associates, to complete the work to their specifications. Here's one last example of a property on Burdett Street. The work that was needed here included removal of shrubs and trees, removal of dead and overhanging branches, clearing and grubbing, excavation of a buried pile of asphalt, removal of a concrete slab. In total, the Omaha Land Bank has completed 20 properties so far in the first 2 phases of work. In this third and final phase of the project, we hope to complete work on many more properties. As you can see on this slide, we have 10 sites that are currently ready for construction work, meaning we have the engineering and site design blueprints already completed. We expect that at least 7 more will become ready in the coming months. These last 7 sites include some larger multi-property sites, and so they're larger projects. With one exception, the 10 sites are ready to go now and all single lot infill sites. Now that we've talked about the background for the project, we're going to discuss the specifics on the qualifications that we're requesting and what to include in your submission to us. The first piece of advice would be to make sure that you read through the RFQ document and the important information to include in your submission to us. You can find this document on our website at omahalandbank.org. Under the menu heading, What We Do, you'll see an option to select Shovel Ready Effort, where you can find the full document, both English and Spanish. As you saw in the two examples, these are the primary services that we're going to be requesting in this work. Some companies may be able to provide all of these services, or some may only provide one of them. Whatever services you provide, we encourage you to submit your qualifications to be eligible to receive request for bids. We will review and approve companies' qualifications as we receive them. The three main deadlines in October, November, and December. Submissions that we receive by the dates in the column on the left will be considered for approval by our board and the date in the column on the right. For example, the first submission deadline would be October 22nd to be considered for our board's approval on November 12th. At the time that we have work that is ready to be bid out, we will send it to whichever contractors have been successfully approved at that time. We expect that our properties will be ready for construction work at different times over the next few months. So even if a batch of properties gets put out for bid in October and you submit in November or December, we still might have some work that you can bid on for completion in 2026. All of the work for these properties must be completed by September 30th, 2026. Here are the requirements for what you'll need to submit to us to be a pre-qualified contractor for this project. We'll cover these all in more detail in the coming slides. A cover letter is just a simple one-page overview about your business, the services you wish to provide, and why you're interested in working with the Omaha Land Bank on this project. We're also requesting that you list out any applicable Nebraska licenses that you have here. Some things you could mention about why you're interested in working with us on this project could be if you have a passion for providing affordable housing or in doing work in these North Omaha neighborhoods where the properties are located. We require a statement on any potential conflicts of interest. These would be most applicable if you or someone in your company has a connection to someone on the Omaha Land Bank staff or board. If there is no conflict of interest, you can simply state conflict of interest, none, as shown in the slide. Most people will include the statement on a page together with the litigation statement. The litigation acknowledgement statement simply discloses whether you have any active or pending legal action to which you are a party. We ask that you disclose these and provide a brief description. If you do not have any current legal actions regarding your business, simply state legal actions, none, as shown in the slide. There are two important forms included in the RFQ packet that will need to be signed, scanned, and included in your submission. This is the compliance form on page 2 and the non-discrimination agreement on page 3. On this slide, you can see our required insurance levels for employer's liability and general liability insurance. You will need to provide your certificate of insurance in your submission to us. You should also include copies of any trade licenses you hold and any other certifications. The most common additional certification is the City of Omaha's authorization as a small emerging business. You can find more information about this on the City of Omaha's OneBiz site. Finally, you will be asked to provide a narrative about your proof of expertise. These include sections for your approach to the project management, your team experience or qualifications, and your experience on similar projects. In your submission, I recommend that you create headings with these section titles and provide your responses underneath. The first section is your approach to project management. In your response, you should include answers to each of the following questions. How do you assure quality work on time? How do you respond to upset neighbors and maintain communication with all project partners? How do you manage your crew in projects to get work done in all seasons of the year? And how do you deal with disputes? The second section will ask about your team experience and qualifications. We're asking for the resume of each crew leader. You can also include experiences for key team members as an appendix to the RFQ. We also ask that you list the principal in charge of this agreement, and finally, any training used that prepared you or your employees for the completion of the work you'll be performing. Lastly, we ask for examples of 3 to 5 similar projects. For each project, please provide us with a description of the work and the type of services you provided. Indicate whether the project is in progress or completed. Name who the project owner is and the project location. And finally, provide the name, title, and phone number of a reference for the project. To review, your submissions should include the following: a cover letter and point of contact, a conflict of interest statement, signed and scanned pages 2 and 3 in the RFQ packet, the litigation acknowledgement statement, a copy of your insurance, relevant licenses and certifications, and your proof of expertise, which is a narrative about your qualifications for your approach to project management, your team qualifications, and 3 to 5 similar projects. If one of these components is missing from your submission, it could result in your submission being rejected. So please double check to make sure you have all of these before submitting, and call if you have any questions. Once you have all of your materials together, submit them to us at info@omlb.org. Once we've received your submission, it will be reviewed and scored by the Omaha Land Bank staff and our finance committee. Submissions are scored out of 100 possible points, with a minimum of 60 to be accepted as pre-qualified. We may reach out for more information if we have questions. Once approved by our finance committee, the recommendations for pre-qualification will go to the board of directors for their final approval. If the board of directors approves, we will put you on our list to send you requests for bids as work becomes available. These will only be sent to the contractors who have gone through this process to be pre-qualified. At the time that we send you a request for bids, all you will need to provide is your estimate and a timeline for when you would complete the work. If you'd like somebody to review your submission before you send it to us, the Nebraska Business Development Center's Apex Accelerator has generously offered to review your submission and provide feedback. They can be reached at the email or phone number on this slide. Thanks very much for joining us. At this time, I'll take any questions that you have. Otherwise, you can always reach out to me at info@omlb.org, or you can give me a call at 402-800-1247 for any questions about the process. Please don't hesitate to reach out.